I'm Captain Tripp with Boat Test, and right now I'm standing aboard the Cutwater 288 Command Bridge. As you can see, Command Bridge is indicating there's a fly bridge on this boat. Now, this is a 28-footer, but it is compact, but it's also capable and it's very comfortable. Let's dig into it and see what it has to offer. Since we're at the bow, we'll go ahead and start here. And one thing that I do enjoy seeing is on-off access at the bow. Let's say you pull up on a beach, you can drop the swim ladder on off the boat with ease. Of course, you have electric windows up here, access to the road, and a beautiful handrail all the way around, and then 2 opening hatches. There is room up here if you're cruising casually, nice and easy through some shallows. Maybe you're crossing the Bahama Bank or trying to find some coral reefs or something to snorkel on. Right here would be a good spot to locate that. And then as you move stern alongside, the side decks are a little bit narrow, but you can see that they put these little kind of toe rails here. They're composite, and you have a grab rail all across the cabin top. So as you are making your way back, you're gonna be on the boat really secure. These are gonna hold me really well, so I'm not concerned about falling off as we move aft. The back of the stern of the boat, you can see the boat is powered by Twin Yamaha 250 V6s. This is going to bring the boat to a top speed somewhere around 50 miles an hour, cruise around 30, 35. And we can also see that the swim platform back here, there's quite a bit going on. Now, one thing I noticed are these grab rails on either side, or maybe you call them stanchions. This is going to assist you as you're coming on and off the boat safely. And just underfoot here is a telescopic swim ladder. Another grab handle, have your fuel fills, rod holder. Then right here we can see on this pole, which is holding our sunshade right now, there's a fresh hot and cold water shower which is plumbed in, so as you come out of the salt water you can get rinsed off before you come into the cabin. Also, there's a bait well, decent size, and just across there's an electric Kenyan grill. So maybe you just brought in that catch, maybe you've got some fresh steaks to toss on here, you can do so and kind of keep everything away, all your mess, so to speak, back out of the boat. I like that. And another stanchion back here. And you also see there's these small fenders back here that are going to protect the boat. Maybe you're in a tight situation, someone's coming up alongside, kayaks or something, that's going to protect your boat. Along the transom, we're looking at a transforming fore and aft facing seating. You'll also notice that the transom here is clear. They're calling this their clear pass transom. So this is a fantastic place to sit and enjoy an evening, a sunset, or in the middle of the day, you're still under the sunshade. But something to notice are these elbows, which they engineered. That allows your rigging to turn, and without binding, they can run it backwards and into the boat and providing this clear path. And also, that enables you to trim the engines all the way up without binding the rigging. There's some additional seating over on the port side. This flip out bench seat that's tucked away. So if you have the aft seat and this seat down, you have quite a bit of seating back here for the guests. And you can see we have this window open. This is providing an additional seat on the aft facing dinette bench, which is convertible. We'll show you that in just a minute. To access this, there's a bifold window, which can be flipped up and secured out of the way on the car top, and you flip down the footrest. Also notice that there's Scotty mounts here. Now you can put your electric reels and plug them in right down here. And so if you're in fishing mode, all of this flooring can be pulled up with snaps. And I guess this is a good time to mention that Cutwater, they do all this themselves in-house. They order this material, then they cut it, they bind it all themselves. They do all their upholstery in-house, all their metal work in-house. All that helps with the quality control of the components of their boats, the turnaround rate that they can get if they need parts, and maybe you're an owner and you damage something, you can get that part quickly and they're gonna make it for you, not have to order it from an outside source. I want to dig into these mechanical spaces really quick because there's some things that are certainly worth mentioning. This boat comes with 900 amp hours of lithium batteries. Now that's so they don't have to have a generator on the boat. Everything is charged by the outboards. So when you're running your air conditioner or warming something up in the microwave or running the Kenyan grill, you're running off of that lithium, and you have plenty of capacity there to run air conditioner overnight. There's also lead acid start batteries for the engines and a battery for the bow thruster. Before we head into the cabin, we can see some of their in-house robust metalwork that leads up to the fly bridge, but we'll save that for last. Entering into the cabin, first on the starboard side is the galley. You can see there's a gas burner stove here. You don't often see these in boats a lot, but this kind of reminds me how this boat is manufactured in Washington State. So this is a totally American-built boat, and since they're used to the cold weather up there, that might be a good reason to have the gas stove. You see there's also a fairly deep sink, grab handle, microwave, drawers underneath, and a large drawer underneath the microwave. And along the back side, you have a small shelf with fiddle rails to keep your small items, spices, maybe a roll of paper towels up here. Also, gauges for your water tank, a 110 outlet, and USB outlets as well. Moving forward under the helm seat, you can see there's a 12-volt fridge that's fairly well sized, so you're going to be able to fit a lot of provisions in there. Oh, and look, just across, there's a wine chiller. Also on the port side is the dinette table. You can see this backrest, which is currently aft facing as we were utilizing it earlier, with a simple flip. Now it's forward facing, so we can have a seat at the table. And there are 2 steps up as you sit at the dinette table, so that's going to elevate us so we can see our surroundings with the windows all around, but that's also going to give some room underneath for a berth, which I'll show you in just a moment. You can see this table is leafed, but the opposing seating, it's interesting because it can also be flipped around. So now you have a companion seat while underway, a fantastic spot to sit with the operator as you're cruising to your next destination. And whoever's seated here is also going to have their own air conditioning vents, cup holders, a grab handle, a small shelf with USBs for charging. But if you want some ventilation, you can slide open the window here, or you have hatches overhead which can open up and let in that natural light and air. I don't want to forget to mention that this dinette table is on a high-low base, so you can actually drop it down, add in a filler cushion, and you have a large berth here. This would be great if you have, say, 2 cruising couples on board for a short weekend. They can sleep here, but maybe you have some kids aboard and they kind of want their own little space or a little hideout just underneath. There's a pretty good sized berth under here, and it has 2 windows to let in some natural lighting, so it would be fantastic for some kids to get under there and just tuck themselves away. All of your electrical panels are also located under here with your battery switches and controls for the inverter that's on board and your 12-volt system. Also, controls for the air conditioning, and there are 2 different zones on this boat. So let's say you're at anchor, you're just a single couple for a night, and you want to conserve that electrical power. Well, if you're sleeping in the V berth, you can only have the AC running up there, and that's going to conserve that electricity. As I'm seated at the helm, the command center, as I'm underway to the next adventurous destination, I have 2 large Garmin screens, Yamaha screens, of course autopilot, which is going to be very handy as you're cruising along. Switches for a lot of your most used items. The bow thruster includes a wireless remote for easier docking. Your VHF radio, controls for the engines, and you do have a joystick on this boat, so that's going to make operating in tight quarters easy, and trim tab controls. Also, can't forget controls for the bow thruster. That's going to certainly come in handy. Also have an additional AC vent right here, but if I want to open things up, I can do so with the window on the operator side as well. And you can see they have the tucked in recessed LED lighting, kind of adds that elegance along with the woodwork here. And then on the overhead, there's some EVA foam. It's going to add some insulation, maybe some sound deadening while you're aboard, and it looks good too. All right, let's head down below to the forward cabin. As I'm down in the V berth, I can really feel the air conditioning pumping down here, and it feels fantastic. This would be a comfortable place not only to sleep, but also for a getaway, which I'll show you in just a moment. But there's a hanging locker on the port side, as well as a TV. We have some hatches overhead, a bit more LED lighting, and I like the shiplap that's along the sides. They didn't have to do that with the fiberglass mold, but it just looks good and adds that extra little touch. There's also 2 ports, which you can open up to give some cool breezes in here, along with the hatches overhead if it's not hot out. But something that I want to point out is that this is more than just a V berth. You can convert it into an office mode. Let me show you. And now in less than a minute, I've created my own little space. So if I want to get away from the distractions, get out of the heat, enjoy the air conditioning, come in here and read a book or do some work. If I'm working remotely, I can do so in comfort. For a 28-foot boat, there's actually a decent sized head on board. And the woodwork is absolutely beautiful. It gives a good tone and warmth in there. And there's a glazed skylight overhead. It's going to give natural light to everything. And you have a 110 outlet, toilet, vessel sink, a bit of storage, everything that you need. If you can't tell already, there's quite a few interesting things on board this boat. But let's go see what's really exciting. That's the flybridge. As we head up to the flybridge, we can see Cutwater's exceptional metalwork with this ladder, and it makes it really easy to gain access to the flybridge. There's actually seating for 3 up here with this aft-facing and forward-facing bench seats just alongside the helm. But where I'd really want to be is right here at the helm. I could just picture myself crossing over to the Bahama Bank, and as soon as I see that shallow water coming, I'm coming up here, and this is where I'm going to sit. Or if I'm trying to scout out a coral head to catch some lobster or something down in the Keys, this is where I'm going to be. I have complete system controls up here, from the tabs, engine controls, joystick, still my bow thruster. And let's say that I was docking this thing solo. This might be where I'd want to be if I had dock hands, and I might could get my bow line up here, my stern line up here, and as I bring myself into the dock, then I can just toss my lines to the dock hands and look like a pro coming into the dock. Something else that you don't notice about this flybridge is that this whole dash part, it's actually hinged and it can drop down. Now where that's going to help you out is when you're trailering this boat, because it is a trailerable boat, you can drop this down and reduce the height of the boat on the trailer so you can be within more legal limits. Or let's say you're going under a low bridge, drop it down, and you can get out a little bit easier. If I turn around and look at the back side of the command bridge, I see the bifacial solar panel. If you don't know what bifacial is, it means that it collects solar rays from the top and the bottom. So anything that reflects up from the water or the gel coat is going to increase the efficiency of the solar panel, and that's going to help keep those batteries topped off. There's also rod holders back there as well. If you're in fishing mode, you can bring all your gear along. Thanks for joining me on this walkthrough of Cutwater's new 288 command bridge. I'd like to see this out on the water. I'm Captain Trip with Boat Test, reminding you that life is better on a boat.